Have you ever told your friends that you are so over your ex while still checking who likes their posts in the middle of the night? Be honest, because if that is even a little bit you, this story is going to feel very close to home. Today I want to tell you about a woman who turned that late-night stalking into a full-time job without telling anyone. It started as revenge, it turned into a career, and in the end the hardest part was not destroying her ex but actually letting him go. If you have ever wondered how far you might go when you feel erased by someone you loved, stay with me, because this story is your little mirror. We drop into her life in the middle of a messy night in London. The hotel room is small and clean, but it looks like it has been hit by a storm made of coffee cups and snack wrappers. On the bed there is a woman in her early 30s, her name is Lena, and she has not slept in about 30 hours. Her laptop is open on the blanket, her phone is in her hand, and both screens are full of the same man. On the phone there is a live stream where a smiling man in a nice suit is standing on a rooftop under warm lights. That man is her ex, his name is Ali, and tonight he is about to propose to his new girlfriend in front of an online audience. On the laptop there is a video editor window, and inside that window is the thing that could burn his new life to the ground. The title of the video is simple and sharp and a little petty. It says, "The Man Who Turned Our Love into Content." The thumbnail shows a blurred shot of his face and a bright red line across it like a crack in glass. The video is finished, polished, and scheduled to go live in 15 minutes. When it goes public, 2.3 million people will get a notification because that is how many people follow her anonymous channel. They know her only as the storyteller behind a channel called The Honest Lie. They think it is fiction, and they love guessing who each story is really about, like a game. Lena watches Ali smile into the camera on the rooftop, and she can almost hear his voice in her head. She knows the way he lifts his eyebrows when he is about to say something he thinks is deep. She knows that the way he squeezes a woman's shoulders on camera so people will comment that he is such a caring man. She also knows how many contracts are hidden under that smile. The countdown on her laptop says 14 minutes and some seconds. Before we see what she does, we need to pull back for a moment and ask a simple question. How do you become the kind of person who times a revenge video to hit at the exact second your ex gets down on one knee? It does not start there, of course. It starts much earlier, with a much smaller story that almost no one watched. When Lena was a kid, she knew two versions of her mother. One version was warm and funny and made pancakes for dinner and asked Lena about her day. The other version had a packed suitcase by the door and eyes that looked past everyone in the room. Her mother did not leave once, she left many times. Every time she left, she told a different story.
I just need some space for a while. It is not your fault. Things are complicated. You will understand when you are older. I need to take care of myself first. You are strong.
None of those sentences actually explained anything, but they sounded gentle enough that people nodded and let her go. When she came back, she brought a new version of the story. Sometimes she said she had been working on herself. Sometimes she said she was just overwhelmed. She never said, "I left because I did not want to be here." Little Lena watched all this and learned a quiet lesson. People will walk out of your life, and then they will rewrite the story to make themselves comfortable. The truth is less important than the version they can live with. That feeling, that mix of confusion and anger and longing, sat in Lena's chest like a stone while she grew up. Fast forward to her 20s. She moves to a big city, gets a basic job in media, and realizes she is very good at one particular thing. She knows how to take a messy situation and turn it into a clean story that makes everyone look a little better. She becomes the person who writes apology posts for brands. She writes tearful captions for influencers who got caught lying. She writes the words, "We hear you, we are listening, we are growing," for people who are mostly scared about losing money. That is where she meets Lee. He is not famous when they meet, but he is hungry for it. He is the kind of man who looks into your eyes and then quickly checks his reflection in a window when he passes by. He is charming and funny and just self-aware enough to make jokes about being self-absorbed. When he says he wants to start a channel about healthy relationships, she laughs, then realizes he is serious.
Think about it, people love couples, they love honesty, they love therapy talk. I want to show what a real relationship looks like, the good and the bad.
He invites her in, not just as a girlfriend but as a co-creator. He says they will build it together, side by side, equal partners. That word, partner, hits something deep in her that has wanted stability since the days of suitcases by the door.
If we really show the bad parts too, people might not like us.
They will trust us, and trust is the new money.
So they start filming in their small apartment with cheap lights and a borrowed camera. Lena stays mostly behind the camera at first. She plans the topics, writes the outlines, and gently pushes Lee to be more honest than he planned. He sits on the couch and talks straight to the lens about communication and boundaries and respect. The early videos are raw and a bit awkward, but people find them. Viewers say they feel seen. They share the videos with comments like, "This is what love should look like, look how they talk things out." The subscriber count starts to climb. Brands begin to send messages. Money trickles in, then flows. Somewhere along the way, the brand shifts. At first, it is truly about them working on their own issues. They argue and then show the repair on camera. It feels risky but honest. Then they learn what gets more clicks. Vulnerable Childhood Storytime gets more views than a calm weekly update. Tears perform better than quiet laughter. Big dramatic titles bring in more strangers than humble ones. Slowly, the line between real healing and performance starts to blur. Lena notices that the videos where she cries in a soft voice about her fear of being left do very well. She also notices that Lee loves those numbers. When they check analytics, he points to graphs like a proud parent.
Look at that spike. That is your childhood story. People ate that up.
He means it as a compliment, but it lands like a weight in her chest. Her most private fears have become part of the content plan. Over time, they bring her more on camera. She is funny and quick, and people love their chemistry. Comments flow in saying that they are couple goals and that their communication gives people hope. They sell merch that says "No secrets, just us." All of this feels good on some days and deeply wrong on others. On the wrong days, she suggests they keep some things off camera.
Maybe we do not need to share every fight. We can keep some things just for us.
People follow us because we are honest. If we start hiding, we lose the whole point.
He frames it as a moral issue, like privacy is a kind of betrayal of the audience. She does not have the words to push back, so she nods and keeps going. This is where the first small betrayal hides. While she is editing late at night, he is emailing a lawyer about ownership and contracts. She is not in the room when those calls happen. When he later asks her to sign some papers, it is framed as standard stuff for the brand.
It is just to protect us. It is better for taxes and things.
She skims them, feels tired, and signs. her name does not end up on the parts that matter. The channel explodes in popularity after a series of intense videos about a rough patch in their relationship. They do a 3-part series where they talk about trust, boundaries, and forgiveness. The numbers go wild and their followers flood them with love. Off camera, that rough patch is not fully healed. Some of the forgiveness is real, but some of it is performed. They move forward anyway because the schedule is full and the algorithm is hungry. Then one day, things finally crack in a way that cannot be filmed. The fight is not about dishes or late replies. It is about him staying out very late and coming home with a story that does not add up. Lena asks simple questions. The answers take strange turns.
Where were you really? Please just tell me the truth.
I was with friends. You are overthinking this. You are always overthinking.
The word always hits her because it is the same word her mother used when she said Lena always takes things too seriously. They argue in circles until both are too tired to move. The next morning he does not apologize. Instead, he sits her down on the same couch where they film and says he needs a break.
I love you, but the relationship is heavy right now. We need space to breathe.
She waits for the second part of the sentence, the part where he says, "Let us tell the audience together and step back." It does not come.
I also think we should keep this off the channel for now. People will get confused. They need stability from us.
That sentence is wild if you stop and think about it. Their relationship is too unstable for them, but it must stay stable for viewers. He asks her to move out quietly. He says he will tell the team and deal with the business side. In the content that follows, he releases a video about taking a mental health break. He thanks his supportive partner without saying her name. He sits alone on the couch where they once sat together and looks brave and vulnerable. The comments fill up with praise. People say he is strong for taking time for himself. If you ask where Lena is, but their messages are buried under other topics. Some viewers guess that she was dragging him down, even though they know nothing about what happened. Lena watches this from a small sublet where her boxes are still unpacked. She scrolls through comments until 2 in the morning, even when it hurts her. She wants to scream, but instead she stares at the screen. Then another video appears a few weeks later. In that one, Lee does not say breakup, but he speaks in past tense about some things. He hints that he has grown and that he has let go of relationships that no longer serve him. He never calls her a villain, but the gaps leave room for people to fill that role. Behind the scenes, the legal emails become very clear. The channel and the brand are his. Her name and work are buried under terms and percentages. She realizes that not only has she lost the relationship, she has also been erased from the story where she did most of the hidden labor. This is the true breaking point. It is not just that he left. It is that he got to decide how the story of their love and their work would be told in public. For a while, she disappears. She stops posting on her own small accounts. She takes on ghostwriting work for other creators, hiding behind their faces and voices. She writes captions about healing and growth while feeling none of it herself. The ghostwriting jobs introduce her to a familiar pattern. She sees influencers use tears as tools instead of as real emotion. She sees apologies written for optics instead of for actual repair. She knows because she is the one writing those words. One night, after another long day of giving other people perfect lines, she sees a post from Ali. He is soft launching a new relationship. A woman appears in a photo, turned slightly away from the camera, but clearly present. The caption talks about second chances and finding peace. Lena feels something sharp and hot rise up in her chest. It is not just jealousy, although that is there. It is the sense that he has once again skipped to the next chapter and set the tone while she is still stuck in the old one. She pours herself a drink, opens her laptop, and does something dangerous but strangely simple. She creates a new channel. She calls it The Honest Lie. In the description, she writes one sentence. It says all stories here are fictional, except for the ones that are not. She tells herself it is not about him. She says it is social commentary, it is art, it is therapy through storytelling. She is very smart, so she is also very good at lying to herself with pretty language. The first video is a simple story about a nameless creator who uses his partner's trauma as a ladder to fame. There are no names, no faces, only a calm voice telling a very specific tale.
Once there was a man who said he loved honesty, but what he really loved was an audience.
She records the whole thing in one night, her voice steady even when her hands shake. She posts it with a modest title and goes to bed expecting nothing. The next day, the view count is strangely high. Comments are pouring in. People write that they know this man, they have dated this man, they have worked for this man. Some say it reminds them of specific online figures, and they start guessing in the replies. The video hits a nerve because it is both personal and vague enough for many people to project themselves into it. For the first time since the breakup, Lena feels a rush that is not just pain. It is power mixed with a sense of justice and a bit of dark joy. Here is our first little emotional roller coaster. She feels anxious that she might be recognized. Then she feels relieved when no one links it to her name. Then she feels high when she sees the numbers go up and the comments section cheering for her anonymous narrator. She makes another video, then another. Each story is about lies and image and the ways people dress up harm as healing. She draws from her ghostwriting jobs, her own past, and rumors she has heard. She changes details but keeps the emotional spine. The channel grows. People start calling it therapy for those who were gaslit by people with perfect lighting. They binge the stories at night, lying in bed with their phones close to their faces. As the numbers rise, so does her focus on Ali again. She starts watching all of his content, not as a hurt ex, but as a hunter. She notes his phrases, his new brand deals, his rebrand towards mental health advocacy. His new girlfriend, whose name is Sophia, appears more clearly on his channel. She seems kind and level-headed. She talks about boundaries and encourages him to apologize more directly.
If you have hurt someone, you cannot only talk about growth in general, you have to name it.
Lena watches this and feels twisted emotions. Part of her is angry that he may be learning to be a better man with someone else. Another part of her wonders if some of that growth is actually real. Instead of dealing with those feelings directly, she does what she knows best. She writes another story. This time the main character is a woman who collects apologies that never come. At the end of the story, that woman builds a museum of almost apologies and charges people to walk through it. The video is funny, bitter, and strangely tender. It goes viral. With each successful video, her sense of purpose grows, but so does her attachment to Ali's life. She tells herself that she has to keep watching him for material. She cannot look away, because the next slip or rebrand move might be a perfect episode. This is the quiet truth she never says out loud. She is no longer his girlfriend, but she is still fully connected to him. The cord is made of anger and story, not of love, but it is still a cord. The honest lie keeps growing until it is bigger than Ali's channel on some days. There are entire forums where people try to guess which real person each story points to. Brands and agents send her discreet messages asking if she would consult on their crisis communications. Some even suggest she could do a face reveal someday and become a star herself. She refuses all of that. The power of the channel, in her mind, is that she is invisible. She can tell the truth without paying the price, or so she thinks. Many of her stories are loosely based on Ali, but also borrow from others. She never uses names, but sometimes she drops very specific details. These details are little knives that only certain people will recognize. For her, each hidden knife is a message that says, "I see what you did, even if the world never will." The emotional pattern for her audience is now a smooth and addictive loop. They feel curiosity at the start when they try to guess what is going on. They feel shock and anger when the worst parts of the story come out. They feel satisfaction and relief when the toxic person in the story gets what they deserve in some clever way. Then the video ends with a small open question that makes them click on the next one. Months go by like this. She moves apartments, changes her hair, meets new people, but the main relationship in her life is still with that channel. The second main relationship is still with Ali even though they do not speak. Then one day he posts a very polished video announcing a big shift. He says he is moving to another country. He talks about wanting a fresh start in a new city with a woman he loves.
Sometimes you have to step out of your old story completely and build a new one somewhere else.
He says this in a tone that suggests he is wise and gentle. He does not mention Lena, not even in passing. It is like she never existed in the public version of his life. He moves to London with Sophia and begins a new chapter as a mental health-focused creator. He talks about nervous system regulation and safe relationships. Brands that work with wellness and self-care sponsor his episodes. To many viewers, it looks like a beautiful redemption story. To Lena, it looks like a man who has figured out how to sell healing while skipping the hard parts. When she sees a teaser that he will be doing a live proposal on a rooftop, tied to a charity event, something inside her clicks into place. It is not a romantic click, it is mechanical, like a lock turning. She decides that this is the moment she will drag the truth into the light in a way no one can ignore. She plans a 3-part series on the honest lie. Part 1 is about a charming creator who uses his partner's stories as content without giving them ownership. Part 2 is about how he quietly replaces that partner with someone new and uses the same scripts about growth. Part 3 is about the contracts, the erasure, and the damage to the person left behind. She releases Part 1 and 2 in the weeks leading up to his big event. The audience is obsessed. They know it is one connected story, and they are desperate for the last episode. The comments are a mix of rage at the fictional man and speculation about who it really is. Some people guess correctly in broad strokes, but most are just excited by the drama. That suits her just fine. She schedules Part 3 to go live at the exact time he plans to go down on one knee. It is timed to the minute. She even accounts for the time zone difference when she sets it up. Which brings us back to the hotel room in London. She flew there not to see him, but to be in the same city while his life changes or collapses. It feels important to be close, like she is quietly standing outside the theater where the final act of a play is being performed. She sits on the bed watching the live stream. She can see the rooftop lights from her window, distant but real. On her laptop, the countdown to the upload is a steady reminder that this is not just a show, this is a choice. With 10 minutes to go, her phone buzzes with a new notification. It is not from Ellie and not from a brand. It is a voice message from a smaller creator she once helped, a young woman whose name is Mara.
I do not know if you will ever hear this, but I think you made a story about me.
The words make Lena sit up a little straighter. She presses play.
I recognized some details, like the way you talked about that sponsor and that weird hotel hallway and the fight behind the stage. I know you changed the names and the city, but it was still my life, and people guessed, and it hurt more than I thought it would. I looked up to you, whoever you are. I thought you were on our side, but now it feels like my pain was just more content.
The message is not angry in the loud way. It is tired and shaky and honest. Mara says that her mental health spiraled again after the video.
You were right about him. He was toxic, but I was not ready to have strangers discuss my lowest moment like it was a plot twist.
That sentence lands hard. It is the same thing Lena has thought about Ellie many times, now reflected back onto her. She pauses the message for a second and listens to the distant noise of traffic outside the window. On the phone screen, the live chat on Ellie's stream is exploding with hearts and support messages. The rooftop band starts to play a soft song. On the laptop screen, the countdown slides past 8 minutes. She presses play on the message again.
I know you think you are helping. You probably do not mean to hurt people like me, but you have a big audience now, and your stories are like fire. Maybe this does not matter to you. I'm just one person, but I wanted you to know that you are powerful enough to do real damage now. I do not want you to stop telling the truth. I just want you to remember that the people inside your stories are not only characters.
There is a small pause and then Mara adds one last sentence.
You changed my life, but not in the way I thought, and I'm still trying to recover from your story.
The message ends and the room feels a little smaller. Lena looks at her laptop, at the thumbnail of her own final episode. In that video, the fictional woman finally pulls all the receipts on the fictional man. The episode names specific types of contracts and patterns that match Ellie's real behavior closely. It is sharp and satisfying, and when she finished editing it yesterday, she felt like she had finally built a bomb that could not be ignored. Now, with Mara's words still echoing, she sees something else buried inside that video. It is not only about Ellie. It is about her needing him to be the villain so she can stay the wounded hero of the story. On the live stream, we see Ellie take the microphone to thank everyone for being there. Sophia stands beside him, looking nervous but happy.
You are about to see a very important moment for us. Thank you for being part of it.
From the hotel bed, Lena studies Sophia's face. This woman was not there at the start of the old story with Lena. She did not sign those contracts or film those tearful videos. There was a time when Lena wanted to hate her on principle. Of watching, she has seen something else. She has seen Sophia argue with Ellie off camera when she thinks he is slipping into performative patterns.
You cannot call it healing if the people you hurt are still in the dark.
That line from an earlier vlog replayed in Lena's mind many times. It annoyed her because it was true, and because she had never gotten that level of protection when she was with him. Now she watches this couple and realizes there is a risk here. If she drops the video, she will not only hit Ellie. She will hit someone who was not even in the original story, and she will light up the lives of people who have never met her. The countdown hits 5 minutes. Her heart is beating fast, but her face is calm. She has been calm in crises her whole life, that is why brands pay her. Let us pause here and ask you something directly. If you were in her place right now, what would you do? Would you press the button and let the video go live? Would you tell yourself that any damage is simply the price of truth? Or would you pull back and risk feeling like you let him win again? This is the heart of her journey. For years, revenge has been her way of staying connected. The anger kept her close to the story, and that closeness felt safer than being forgotten. To walk away now would mean accepting a different story about herself. Not the one where she is the wrong genius delivering justice, but one where she is just a person who was hurt and is trying to heal without an audience score. On the rooftop, Ellie starts a short speech about love, mistakes, and second chances.
I have not always been the man I wanted to be, but I am trying every day to show up better.
He says it with steady eyes, and this time there are no obvious tells that he is acting. Maybe he is sincere, maybe he is simply a better actor now, maybe it is both. The point is that Leaner realizes something uncomfortable. He is not a cartoon villain, and she is not a pure hero. Both of them have turned pain into content in different ways. The countdown hits 3 minutes. She opens the scheduled video settings. Her cursor hovers over the button that would unschedule it. This is her threshold moment, her little mountain top where the path splits. She thinks about her mother changing stories each time she came back. She thinks about Ellie writing their breakup on his couch. She thinks about Mara crying in a small apartment because a video made by a stranger stirred up all her old scars. Then she thinks about something that has been almost too simple to notice. She has built a life where her sense of self is almost completely defined by how well she can frame other people. Walking away from that is scarier than losing any individual relationship. She closes her eyes for a moment and does something very basic. She asks herself what she actually wants her life to feel like in 5 years. Not what story she wants to tell, but what it should feel like when she wakes up and no one is watching. The answer is not dramatic. It is quiet. She wants to feel like her heart and her time belong to her, not to someone else's mistakes. With 1 minute left, she clicks the button and cancels the scheduled upload. The video does not go live. On the analytics page, the countdown disappears. Her heart does not stop, the world does not end, the hotel does not catch fire. The only immediate result is a strange wave of nausea and a huge empty space in her chest where the expected drama was supposed to explode. On the rooftop, Ellie gets down on one knee. The chat goes wild with hearts and comments and cheesy lines. Sophia covers her mouth in shock and starts to cry.
Yes, of course, yes.
Fireworks go off in the distance because of course they do. From the hotel window, Lena can see the flashes of light in the sky, but she has turned down the volume. She opens a new recording file on her laptop. She sits still for a moment, then starts to speak in a low, tired voice that still carries a clear edge.
This is a different kind of story, and it does not have the ending you might want.
She does not name anyone. She does not point at contracts or show screenshots. Instead, she tells the story of a woman who thought revenge was the only proof that she mattered.
Once there was a woman who believed that as long as the man who hurt her was exposed, she would never disappear.
She talks about how that woman turned her pain into work, then into art, then into a weapon.
She told herself it was justice. She told herself it was for all the others, and maybe some of that was true, but there was something else under it.
She admits that the woman was also addicted to the feeling of being needed by an invisible crowd.
She stayed in orbit around the man she hated because orbit felt safer than drifting off into her own unknown life.
She ends the new recording with one simple line.
Real closure is not when the other person finally falls. It is when you stop needing them to be the villain so you can breathe.
It is not flashy, it is not explosive, and she knows some viewers will be disappointed. She posts this new video instead of the planned bomb. She titles it, "The Day Revenge Finally Broke Up With Her." The response is mixed, and that is the point. Some people thank her for the honesty and say they see themselves in the woman. Some accuse her of selling out and backing away from the full truth. Some complain that the ending is weak because no one gets publicly destroyed. Behind those comments is a very human hunger. People want a clean story with a clear bad guy and a satisfying punishment. Life rarely gives that to us, so we try to get it from shows, from gossip, from channels like hers. Lena reads all of this and feels a complicated mix inside. There is shame, because she knows she has also fed that hunger. There is relief, because she did not actually press the most destructive button. There is fear, because without that sharp revenge, she is not sure who she is to her audience anymore. Over the next weeks, she posts less often. The numbers drop a bit. Some subscribers drift away to louder places. At the same time, something small and important starts to happen. She writes stories that are still sharp, but more curious than cruel. She asks questions inside the episodes instead of only giving conclusions. She notices patterns not just in the villains, but in the people who keep watching villains, including herself. It is not glamorous work. Healing never is. It does not always trend. But slowly, her own life begins to belong to her again. She goes entire days without checking Ellie's uploads. When she sees a random post of his scroll past, her heart still jumps, but the jump is smaller. It feels more like seeing an old classmate than like being stabbed. She never calls him, and he never calls her. That part of the story stays open and ordinary. No big confrontation, no final perfect speech. Instead, the important ending happens quietly inside her. One day she realizes that she has gone a whole week without writing the story that is secretly about him. The cord that tied her to his story has finally started to fray. So what is the lesson in all this for you, sitting there with your phone in your hand? Maybe you have someone in your life who still lives rent-free in your head. Maybe you keep replaying the way they hurt you, and in your mind you win every argument that you never got to have in real life. Maybe you dream about exposing them, not just privately but in front of everyone who ever believed their polished version. That fantasy is normal. It can even be motivating for a while. The danger is when that fantasy becomes your main source of energy. When every choice you make still revolves around a person who is no longer in the room. When your identity is defined by how clearly you can say, "I was the one who was wronged." Revenge looks like power from the outside. On the inside, it often means you are still giving your time, your mind, and your heart to someone who already took too much. There is another kind of power that is not as dramatic and will never go as viral. It is the power of quietly stepping out of the story where you were the supporting character in their life and becoming the main character in your own again. It might mean you never get the apology you deserved. It might mean the world never learns the full truth. It might mean people keep believing a version of events that makes you look smaller than you are. But your nervous system will finally stop living in emergency mode. Your days will slowly fill with things that are not about them. Your nights will become less about doom scrolling and more about actual rest. So here is the simple question we started with now that you have walked through Lena's mess with me. When the breakup is over but the revenge is still alive, who is actually in control of your life? I cannot answer that for you. I can only offer this quiet idea. Sometimes the most radical revenge is to stop living as a reaction to someone else and to start living for yourself again, even if no one claps for it. If you stayed with me all the way to this point, thank you, really. I know your time and your attention are not cheap, so I am glad you spent them here with me today. If this story poked at something in you, or made you think of someone, or made you feel just a tiny bit less alone, please tap the like button, because that helps more than you think. If you want to hear more stories like this, dark and messy and still a little hopeful, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next one. I would also love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment and tell me which part hit you the hardest or which line you want to remember tonight. If you feel like supporting this channel in a more direct way, you can use the QR code in the corner of the video or the link in the description to send a small donation and keep these stories going. In the description you will also find links to other series on this channel, very different stories with their own secrets and lessons waiting for you there. For now, thank you again for listening all the way to the end. Take gentle care of your own heart tonight, and I hope I will see you in the next story.